9 teams to go in my road to predict all 131 teams this college football offseason. Moving on to the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. Now, this is a Blue Raiders team that I was pretty high on last year. If you guys have been on this channel for a while, you guys will know they had one of my most favorite players in the nation a season ago. Now, sadly, he is leaving, and we'll get there when we get there. But along with him, I mean, man, this is a Middle Tennessee team that loses a lot of pieces from a season ago. Offensively, defensively, there's a lot gone. They still do have some nice pieces here, but Middle Tennessee may be more likely than not taking a step back this year. But can Middle Tennessee prove some people wrong and still find their way back into a bowl game in 2022? Or will the Blue Raiders, again, fall back in 2022? What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate, and welcome to my channel. I'm predicting all 131 teams this college football offseason, which means I'm predicting your favorite team, and chances are I've already done them. If you're a fan of a team that's not in Conference USA, hey, hit the subscribe button. Go through my channel. I got playlists there where you can find your favorite team. But in case you are a fan of a team in Conference USA and I haven't done your team yet, no worries, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. The video is coming. To fans of the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders out there, you guys are going to know this team a lot better than I will. So if you feel like I missed something, you want to add something, whatever have you, please leave it in the comment section down below. Anything you want me to know, be happy to read what you guys have to say. Let's talk about the Blue Raiders in 2022. They are my 9th ranked team in Conference USA coming into the 2022 college football season. Now, last year, again, this was a really, really solid team last year. 7-6 overall, and they were 4-4 in conference play. Now, statistically, well, their offense definitely struggled moving the football, 356 yards per game. But also their defense was pretty ball-hawking, forced a lot of turnovers this year. It's an offense that still scored 30 points per game. Now, the defense, one of the better defenses in Conference USA last year, 367 yards per game and only allowed around 25 points per game. So, and they also forced a lot of turnovers last year, did this Blue Raider defense. But a lot of that defense is leaving, right? A lot of that turnover-forcing defense is gone from last year. But we're going to stick with the offense for right now, talk about some of the pieces they lose there. Former NC State player Bailey Hawkman is leaving this program. 463 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks last year. And Mike DeLillo, who had 267 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks last year as well. Were your 3rd and 4th leading passers, respectively, on this team. And you lose both of them from last season. Martell Pettaway was the leading rusher last year. And again, this is a team that didn't really rush the football too effectively. Pettaway only had 372 yards and 3 touchdowns. I believe as a team, hold on, let me find it. Middle Tennessee had 120 rushing yards per game. So again, not super efficient running the football, but you still do lose your leading rusher, as well as Chatton Mobley, who was the 4th leading rusher behind Pettaway. DeLillo was also the 3rd leading rusher last year. So you're losing some pieces at the running back position for sure. At the wide receiver position, well, you lose Jaron Pierce, who was the leading receiver at 523 yards and 6 touchdowns, was only the leading receiver by 13 yards. But you also do lose your 2nd leading receiver in Jimmy Marshall, who had 510 yards and 6 touchdowns a season ago as well. So those two, very, very similar in terms of their statistics from a season ago. CJ Windham is also going to be gone off this team at 236 yards and 2 touchdowns from last year. So losing some pieces at the wide receiver end for sure. Now, defensively, couldn't really find a whole lot of big losses on the defensive line, but in the defensive back 7, they are losing quite a bit of talent. DQ Thomas is gone at 87 tackles last year. Was the 3rd leading tackler, and had 5 sacks last year. Also 2 picks, returned that for a pick 6 last year as well. Or had a pick 6 last year out of his 2 interceptions. Juriente Davis is gone, had 71 tackles. You lose him. 3 sacks, couple passes defended for him as well. And then Cody Smith gone off the linebacking group as well. When you take a look at the defensive backs, well, Gregory Great, who was the 2nd leading tackler, and he had 3 picks last year. Quincy Riley is also gone. Pretty solid piece to that defensive back position. In fact, it was a really good piece. Could argue was their best defensive back statistically last year. 9 passes defended, 5 interceptions, and 1 pick 6. But by far and away, in my opinion, the best player leaving this defense is Reed Blankenship. Had 110 tackles, 8 passes defended, 1 interception. Did have a sack last year as well. So Reed Blankenship, huge loss to this defense, and some pretty big losses among the defensive back 7 there as well. So the defense that may not be as good as they were last year in the defensive back seven. But look at some offensive talent coming back. Your quarterback is going to be one of two guys. In fact, I think both will easily get playing time this year. Chase Cunningham had 1,318 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 3 picks last year. So Chase Cunningham very well could be that starter out of the gate in game one. But Nick Vadiato is back there as well. And around the similar amount of reps, Cunningham threw 176 passes, Vadiato threw 171. Slightly better completion percentage, had 1,047 yards, so not as many yards per pass, 7 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So Cunningham definitely has the better stat line, but I believe Vadiato started more as the season went along. So quarterback battle will be interesting to see how it plays out for Middle Tennessee. Wouldn't be surprised to see them use both of them either this year. Frank Pleasant comes back at the running back position. Should be that lead rusher this year, 303 yards and 3 touchdowns for him last year. But they're also getting a couple transfers. Joe Irvin is coming over from Kansas State, I do believe. And then I think they're getting a West Virginia transfer in there as well, Avarius Sparrow. So getting some players at running back coming in. Wide receiver room, well, still a lot of nice names here. Jalen Lane is coming back for this team. 466 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Yusuf Ali, 472 yards, 4 touchdowns last year for him, along with some other guys like Isaiah Gathings, DJ England Chisholm, and they're getting a transfer at tight end in Jeremy Tate. Didn't really use the tight ends a whole lot last year. Jeremy Tate probably will change that for this Blue Raider offense. On the defensive side, hey, look, a lot coming back on that defensive line, but most notably Jordan Ferguson, who I believe was the team lead in sacks last year, had 9 of them to go along with 58 tackles. Richard Kinley and Marley Cook, a couple other names you'll see back on that defensive line. In the linebacker group, well, again, they do lose a lot of talent, but hey, Jonathan Butler is back and Raekwon Hartley are some names that are returning for this team. When you look at the defensive back position, well, both of these guys were still really good for this team last year. DeCorian Patterson had 7 passes defended and 1 interception, and Teldrick Ross, led the team with 12 passes defended, had an interception that he ran back for a pick 6 there as well. So still a lot of great talent, still a lot of good talent around this team. There's good talent offensively, good talent defensively. But when we take a look at this Blue Raiders schedule, there are a lot of tricky games here on the schedule. Starts off with a game on the road against James Madison as we dive into non-conference play. Hey, that's a new team to the FBS this upcoming year. And James Madison is one of the better one of the better FCS teams for the better part of this past decade. So James Madison, I think is going to do fairly well in the FBS this upcoming year. And that is a game where Middle Tennessee, I'm not quite sure what the line is on that game right now, but they might not be favored in that one. Colorado State, you got to go on the road to play them. Hey, the Rams are going to improve a lot this year. Colorado State's going to be a good team out of the Mountain West. Tennessee State as an FCS opponent. And then Miami, Florida, the Hurricanes on the road on September 24th. When you get into conference play, hey, you have home games against UTSA, Western Kentucky, Charlotte, and FAU. Games on the road against UAB, UTEP, Louisiana Tech, and FIU, Florida International. So doing a little deeper dive into the schedule, but first talking about some of the players here. Look, quarterback battle is going to be interesting. I think they'll get solid enough quarterback play this year. They definitely have to run the ball more effectively, but they got transfers to help them do that. I think the wide receiver room has talent this year. What I worry about with this team is the defense. And are they going to be as aggressive of a defense as they were last year? Again, they had lots of passes defended last year. I mean, looking down the stat sheet, there's a guy with 8, 4, 3, 2, 12, 9, 2, 7. Like, this is a ball hawking defense that is losing a lot of their ball hawks from last year. That may hurt them in this schedule as we take a look. James Madison, Colorado State, those are two, in my opinion, probably pretty damn hard non-conference games. Those are going to be 2 games right there that Middle Tennessee may find themselves dropping in the first games of the season. They can beat James Madison. They can beat Colorado State. But going on the road to play in those environments, it's going to be tough. I don't think they're going to be able to have much luck, though, against Miami on the road. And Tennessee State, that's an FCS opponent. You may probably be able to win there. They're a solid enough FCS team, but I think Middle Tennessee is still more talented. Then getting into conference play, well, conference play does them no favors. I mean, you have UTSA, UAB, the 2 favorites in the conference coming into the year. Western Kentucky, who may very well be another favorite. Yes, they're losing a lot, but that's still going to be a solid Western Kentucky team. UTEP on the road after a bye week. That's going to be a hard game there as well. UTEP's still a team this year that I feel like is going to be really, really solid, even with all they lost from a season ago. Louisiana Tech, a team that should have won more games last year. Charlotte probably should have been a team in a bowl game last year. I think you got to watch out for both La Tech and Charlotte. FAU, also one of the favorites in the conference. And then FIU right there is one of the teams here that, well, maybe you have a shot to beat. Now, I think they have a shot to beat Louisiana Tech. I think they have a shot to beat Charlotte. But, man, this conference slate does them no favors along with a tough non-conference road. I don't do game-by-game predictions. I do a more percentage-based. Alec, tell me predict the team's record. So if the game's in red, I just don't see you winning the game. If the game is in orange, well, you still probably might not win the game. But, hey, it is college football, and upsets can happen. Yellow are your 50-50, your high upset potential games. Games in yellow-green are games that you should win, but watch out for the team on the other side of the ball. And games in green are games I have you winning. So Tennessee State, I have that game in yellow-green. Probably should be able to come away with a win in that one. And Miami, I have in red. Probably won't win that game. So 1-1 in those two games, up to this point, probably more than likely. Now, your other two non-conference games, I mean, I have both of them in orange. I mean, James Madison, again, like I said, has been one of the better programs in the FCS for the past decade or even more. They're going to be a solid team coming into the FBS level. And I think James Madison, in my book, may end up being the betting favorite here in this game. I don't know what the actual line is on this game, but man, I think James Madison has the upper hand here in this one. I like the Duke's chances against the Blue Raiders. Same thing with Colorado State. You know, it's a Colorado State team that's bringing Jay Norvell over from Nevada, bringing a lot of talent into that program there as well. Colorado State's a team I expect to improve from last season or from the past couple of seasons. They can be a team that can push for a shot in a bowl game. Middle Tennessee on the road, I don't see them having much luck there either. So, more likely, in my opinion, 1-3 through conference play, or excuse me, through non-conference play. Then getting into conference play, I mean, there are just more tough games. Your conference road could not start out any harder with UTSA and UAB, probably the two front runners in the conference. Both of those respective programs have a lot of talent coming back, and it's easy to see why they are the favorites there. Probably won't have much luck against either of them. I think they're going to have hard times beating UTEP and FAU there as well. That very well could be the third and fourth best teams in the conference this year. FAU, likely that, well, they probably should have won more games than they did last year. They expect that to change this upcoming season. And then for UTEP, look, I know that team loses a lot, especially in the wide receiver room, but I believe that quarterback is back in Grant Hardison. They're getting a couple running backs back. There's still some solid pieces there defensively. I think UTEP's going to be a better team than a lot of people think this year. But when you look at games that I have in yellow for this team, I mean, La Tech, I mean, that's a team that didn't win a lot of games last year and still can be right around the bowl game mark. But I think that's a winnable game for Middle Tennessee in conference play. I think Charlotte is a winnable game in conference play. And obviously, FIU. That's a team that I just don't expect to be very good. I do expect FIU to improve this year, but maybe not quite to the level of being a solid team or being, I think even 4-8 is doable for FIU, but I think it's stretching it a little bit. For this Middle Tennessee team, I like some of the talent that's here. I just don't know that it's all going to gel this year. I think the non-con schedule is hard. I think the conference schedule is hard. I got Middle Tennessee at 3-9. I know not what Blue Raider fans want to hear for this team, but hey, I do think if everything can gel and this defense can still prove to be as aggressive as it was last year, I think this team can push for a spot in a bowl game. UTEP may take a step back. Western Kentucky is going to take a step back from last year. And, hey, maybe they can pull out one of those first two non-conference games. But that's going to do it for my predictions on the Blue Raiders. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder. See all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.